على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد. To hasten the reappearance of the 12th Imam, please recite a very loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والصلاة والسلام على البشير النذير والسراج المنير المحمود الأحمد المصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين، ولا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين، سيدنا وإمام زماننا الحجة ابن الحسن المهدي فداه أرواح العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين. I think that if not all of humanity, at least the majority have come to realize the havoc that we have drawn ourselves to when we have opened the doors of Pandora and the doors of life and materialism within our lifestyles. Distorted minds, so much distraction to an extent that we don't know what's right and what's wrong. So many things that in the past they were considered as hell, considered as unforgetful sins, but nowadays they are just a norm, right? We can't stop thinking of this life. And subhanAllah, this is something that we have been warned about through the teachings of the prophets and their successors, the Imams, the Quran, that the more you indulge into this world, the more you get infused into again this life, this will bring you nothing but problems. It will bring nothing but dilemma to your life. Don't you ever think that those billionaires have this calm and serene lifestyle? No, in fact, I heard about a person in the rise of the cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin, that this man, he bought a couple of Bitcoins when they were very cheap, but then when that rise took place, he became a millionaire. He said, someone debated him, he said that I have this notification in my smartphone that it notifies me about the value of my currency every 30 seconds. Just imagine, every 30 seconds he gets a notification tells him how much his money values and how much his cryptocurrency is worth. So absolutely no calmness, alaykum assalam. Now this is us. Now to the more or to the less, but this is us. Why? Because again, this advancement in technology and everyone is so much infused into this technology, this fruits the distraction of the mind. No one has calmness. No one can think for a good 10 consecutive minutes in this day and age. Really, we don't have time to reflect. No one has the enough time to ruminate and to come and ponder and contemplate and simply think. We don't. Maybe in the close history, in the last decade, we did have some spare time, to think. Maybe when we were in a bathroom, perhaps, in these designated areas. But nowadays, even in these specific places, people are, again, they're busy chatting, or God knows, browsing what they're doing through this social world that again has made our thoughts very, very distracted. And of course we know that if we have distracted minds, this will eventually lead us to losing our identity, to losing everything we believe in, to giving away all our values, because we can't think anymore of what is right, what is wrong, what are the fundamentals, the principles, because we can't think anymore. We simply cannot think. Put this with you. A teacher wants to send his student, or a father wants to send his son to an adventure. He wants to put him in an endeavoring, challenging trip, right? He tells him, you will be facing so many challenges, so many problems, so many dilemma. But for you to be able to come out successfully, I will be giving you two very, very important keys and elements and things that could help you survive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew very well that this world, the more we get infused into it, the more we possess from it, the more we get lost. This is the nature of this world, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the cousin of Prophet Musa, Qarun, who happened to be a relative of Musa. He was one of the faithfuls and one of the followers and one of the believers of Prophet Musa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala examined the Israelites with wealth. So this Qarun, he was the most wealthy of all Israelites. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started pouring, perhaps, I don't know, God knows how much, but he had wealth to an extent that all of the Israelites, when they see him, they would say, oh, I wish that I had his money. So maybe he was a billionaire, if we talk the language of today's currencies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Qarun. He says, أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. If I would want to simplify it, I'd say that he went deep too much into this world. Likewise, what is happening to the majority of humanity nowadays. Because before, everyone was poor. Maybe one in every, say, 10,000 or 100,000 was considered a wealthy man. No one had enough food to survive for 1 week. They had to strive. They had to struggle. They had to work so much and very hard so that they could quench their thirst and slate their hunger. Nowadays, we're all wealthy. Even though if we compare ourselves with the billionaires, we happen to be poor. But if we compare ourselves to the people in the past, undoubtedly, arguably, we are all wealthy. Or at least 80% of humanity, right? So when wealth comes, again, distortion also comes along. Allah talks about Qarun that he went very deep in this world. He tried to have too much of possessions. He wanted to accumulate, money, piles upon piles of money. And eventually, you know what happened? He became the arch enemy of Musa. I don't want to mention his story. It's a lengthy story. But it's interesting how we can implement, or we could learn his lesson to find our paths in this world. We can't think correctly. Believe it or not, know it or not, alaykum assalam, it is very difficult to think wisely. We can think, but this thought of us, this contemplation of us is distracted to an extent that we don't, again, know what's right and what's wrong. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew and knows well our current situation and what's going on with humanity. We all know that we've gone too much, we've gone too far, but we can't do a U-turn and come back, right? It's very, very difficult for a person to get rid himself from those distractions. At the end, what can you do about it? Those smartphones have come to our bedrooms, you know. This connection with the world has brought itself to every house and every room. So we really can't do anything about it. We haven't been ordered to live as monks in the caves. لا رهبانية في الإسلام. We can't rid ourselves, we can't extract ourselves from society. And so, what should we do? How can we revive and how can we bring back that serenity, that calmness? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will be giving you two things. If you make sure you implement them, if you make sure that you utilize them, you make good use of them, inshallah, with the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can get out of this world and go to paradise. Ista'inu bis-sabri was-salat. Ista'inu, and this is a verse from the Quran. Ista'inu means seek help. Seek help from two things. You are in this adventure, you are in this world, which you are bombarded with all these distortions and distractions and all these misconceptions and all these, elements. The types of people that try to drive you away or pull you towards haram, push you to haram, take you away from faith, take faith away from you, or not, if not people, things. Again, money, desires, temptations. These are every one of these things is an element that potentially is capable of dragging you towards going astray from the right path, and God forbid becoming ultimately a kafir or a mushrik or whatever. Ista'inu, seek help now that you are in this life, in this world that we just described and talked about. Seek help from two things. And these two things are God-given. These two things are gifts to a mu'min so that he can carry them and get out of this world safely. One, patience. Did you know that patience is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you? If we were left with our own nature, no one has patience, because our ego and our temptations, again, they drive us towards shahawat, they drive us towards desires. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, knowing our circumstances and knowing our nature and knowing us, أَفَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ, He gave us this precious faculty which is called patience. He gave us this, and there is another hadith by Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam who talks about this very clearly and explicitly, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this hadiyah, this gift. So might as well utilize it, might as well implement it in this life. Try to express patience. I know you want to go towards haram. I know I want to go towards haram. This is us. This is mankind. Right? But try to overtake or overpower and defeat this desire with patience. You like to eat this, tasteful, tempting gelatin, but it's haram. Utilize patience. Right? Ista'inu bis-sabr. Seek help from patience. It's really beautiful if you think about it. Try to ponder upon this once you go home. Ista'inu, seek help from patience. What is this? This is hikmah. This is wisdom. This is God's word. Seek help from patience. So this is one part. Ista'inu bis-sabr. 2, was-salat. Seek help from prayer. Alaykum salam. I've seen people, they would see praying this daily prayer every day, right, a mission impossible. They see it very difficult. Now once they neglect prayer, they would find staying firmly and moving in the right path is something that is impractical. Why? Because today his teacher tells him that you need to listen to music. And he finds it very difficult, even though he knows that the law, according to the marja', to the fuqaha, that it's sinful to listen to music, but he can't. He can't stand it. He can't hold his ground and oppose the idea, go talk to the people the person who he can talk to. He cannot. He simply cannot. He needs to go pray. But he knows that his schoolmates, his fellow colleagues would laugh at him, would mock him. And so he neglects prayer. He leaves prayer behind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you want to stay in that right path, try to use patience and implement patience and also implement prayer. Because with prayer, you will be eventually and you will be able to implement the rest of the obligations. Again, this is something that we should think about. Now let's go back to the example. The father tells his son, the teacher tells his student that I will be giving you these 2 keys, these 2 elements so that he could survive this journey. One, say, is a Swiss Army knife. The second is a map that you could find your way through the jungle. With these 2, and only with these 2, you could survive. This is why there is a hadith by Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salamullah alayhi. Please recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says, الصبر من الإيمان بمنزلة الرأس من الجسد. Patience, right, in the equation of faith is similar to the head in the equation of the body. And then the Imam says, كما لا خير في جسد بلا رأس لا خير في إيمان بلا صبر. He says the same way that a body without a head is useless simply, right? Because in the head there is the senses, in the head there is the brain. Without the head, you won't be able to live for a second. كما لا خير في جسد بلا رأس. Likewise, faith without patience is useless. Faith without patience is nothing. Because one day you would be able to pray, but if you don't have that patience to stay and have what they call as istiqamah, perseverance, you won't be able to continue this this road to faith, to iman, to God's rahmah and ridwan, and ultimately Jannah. كما لا خير في جسد بلا رأس لا خير في إيمان بلا صبر. So that's in regards to patience. Of course, you tell me that it's difficult. I know it is. It's bitter. It's very, very bitter. But the good thing is that if you apply patience in life, the ending will be very sweet. And I'll tell you this, I learned this from my teacher who has passed away. May Allah bless him, Sheikh Baqir Alam al-Huda. Maybe Sayyid Fadil has heard his name, from Sayyid Ali Radawi. He used to say that And try to put this in your mind. It's going to be helpful for you in this life. He said that the road of desires, so there's two roads, right? The desires and the road of God's pleasure, and the road that you need to undergo. That road of desires, the beginning is very sweet. It's very pleasurable. It's very desirable. You know, the shaitan makes these, ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ sorry, the verse says, يُخَوِّفَ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ. The hadith says, يُزَيِّن, right? He makes it very beautiful. The sin, even though in reality it might not be that nice, but he makes you perceive it as very beautiful. So that's the beginning of that road, the road of haram. On the contrary, the road which Allah has assigned for us, the road of obedience and worship, ibadah, whatnot, the beginning is difficult. The beginning is bitter. The beginning you would face, numerous sounds of opposition. People telling you not to go in this road, not to come to the mosque. You have this, film about to start. You have this game. You've got school. You can't wake up in the morning for prayer. So you have all sorts of opposition preventing you from going into that road. But that's only the beginning. The beginning of the road of desires is nice, is beautiful, is sweet, yet, now this is the interesting part, the end is totally different. So the end of that road of haram is misery, is nothing but misery. You will be sorry if you commit a sin. كم من شهوة أورثت حسرة طويلة. I'm paraphrasing the hadith of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. The very short in lifespan desire would lead to a very long period of being sorry and neglectfulness, regretfulness, sorry. So that's the road of haram. The road of halal, the road of ta'ah, the road of worship, the beginning is hard. Now you examine yourself. Try it. Try to implement this. And you will touch it. You will know what I mean. The beginning is difficult. You don't want to pray Salatul Layl. You don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and, pray these nightly prayers because it's against your desire. You want to sleep. This pillow is very warm. It's very comfortable. But that's the beginning. Remember, it's only the beginning. Wake up. Wake up. Go wash your face. Do the wudu. Pray. And then you're going to see what's going to happen in the end. I remember mentioning this to a friend who I became familiar with in the United States. I had a majlis 1 year in Muharram. He had converted. He had become a Muslim. Sayyidina, should I continue or should I stop the English? I don't know. It's your call. Okay, I'll just finish this and inshallah. So this friend, he had converted to Islam. He's an African American. He comes from a lineage of Christians or God knows what. He said that I got introduced to a perhaps a colleague or a schoolmate who happened to be a Muslim. He talked to me, we started debating about religion, Islam, whatnot. He said, look, why don't you come to why don't you not come to my scholar or the cleric in town and talk to him about Islam? See if he convinces you, if you find it, convincing, come and become a Muslim. If you don't, if you can, refute, if you've got those misconceptions that you could refute and negate his religion, you stay in your own religion. But we only believe that the religion of Islam is the continuum of God's messengers, God's, the prophethood, and Rasulullah is the final of the messengers, and so there's nothing that contradicts the essence of the religion of Musa, Isa, and etc. So he says that this Muslim schoolmate, he gave me the number. To who? To the cleric, to the sheikh in town. He said that I wanted to call, to grab that, handset, give him a call, but I found it very, very, very difficult. What am I doing? It's against my parents' religion. It's against my, everything. What am I doing? Calling who? This religion of terrorism? The religion of Bin Laden? Salamu alaikum. You know what's in the media? And so I found it very difficult. I drew myself back. Then I thought to myself, I could listen at least. I could hear what he has to say. I came back. Again, I drew myself back. Once, twice, third time. Then I said, let me just, I'll give him a call and see what happens. He said that very difficult task was only in the decision. Only. And then what happened afterwards was nothing but ease, was nothing but comfort, was nothing but nature. And so I gave him a call, I talked to him, he invited me to come, I talked to him, I had my misconceptions, he happened to refute all of them, and then I went to the mosque, I became a Muslim, and now Muslim, alhamdulillah, and he came to and he used to attend the mosque where I used to talk. So he said that I have actually witnessed this, what you're saying, the beginning of the road of desires and the haram. Only the beginning is good, the end is bad. But the beginning of halal and ta'ah and worship is very difficult, but that is only for us to be tested. And this is the meaning of jihad, inshallah. If Allah gives us tawfiq, I'll talk about it later, inshallah, in future. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, to give us the tawfiq, to worship Him and to implement sabr and salat in our lives. ببركة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.